On today's episode, interviews from the bar crawl of World's Toughest Mudder.
This is the World's Toughest Podcast. Welcome to the World's Toughest Podcast, where we talk about any obstacle course race you'd like, as long as that's World's Toughest Mudder. Each week we talk to members of the WTM community and share stories of success and failure in the single greatest event in OCR. My name is Will Hicks, and this is the World's Toughest Podcast.
Welcome back to World's Toughest Podcast. Thank you for listening. My name is Will Hicks. World's Toughest Mudder, November 9th, 2024. It is coming soon. As I record this, it is September 17th. September 17th, October 17th, November 17th. You have 2 months minus a week before World's Toughest Mudder 2024. How is your training going? Are you ready? I cannot wait to see you all in Florida. My name is Will Hicks. You can email me, will@theocrreport.com. You can follow us on Instagram @theocrreport. You can, if you want to watch the race, youtube.com/theocrreport is where the live stream will be. Tell your friends, tell your family, hey, you want to watch me race? This is where I'll be. And they should see you on screen. It'll be cool. We are in the middle of 30 podcasts in 30 days. 30 podcasts hath September here at the OCR Report. World Toughest Podcast and the OCR Report podcast and Obstacle Running Adventures, OCR Talk, Fran and Carlo get OCR adjacent, Nitty Gritty Training, Strength and Speed, Travels with Jack Goris. These are all the shows, the 8 shows of the OCR Report. You have a brand new OCR podcast every single day for the month of September. There's a link in our Instagram bio with a complete playlist on Spotify of every single one of the podcasts so far. Today's day 17. Day 17. Tomorrow will be a new episode of OCR Talk on Wednesday. I mentioned World's Toughest Mudder is basically around the corner. 7 weeks-ish. This is the best time of year because it's like the last training push before the event. Once you get to October, you're done. Like, your goal for the month of October is don't get injured. You whatever your fitness is, like first, second week of October, that's what you got. And then you just kind of maintain those last 3 weeks, those last 4 weeks before World's Toughest Mudder, and do not get hurt. Don't get injured. Don't overtrain. Don't do anything stupid with your training, because World's Toughest Mudder is an unforgiving race. And if you don't come into World's Toughest Mudder 100% healthy, you're going to have a bad time. Now, you're going to have a bad time no matter what you do. It's going to beat you up. That's the nature of the beast. But the most important thing for the month of October is do not get hurt in your training. The most important thing for the month of September is this is your last hard training block. This is your last chance to get a little bit stronger, to run a little bit further, to build that cardio a little bit more before you get into October and then the race, the first weekend, or second weekend really, of November. Today in our show, we are talking with people at the bar crawl at World's Toughest Mudder. Here is how the schedule works for World's Toughest Mudder weekend. The race, the actual race, is Saturday. Usually it's Saturday at noon. It's Saturday at 2 p.m. this year. It's Saturday afternoon. Let's just say it's middle of the day Saturday to the middle of the day on Sunday. That's the actual race, right? 24 hours. And if you've been listening for a while, you know it's actually a little bit longer because you have an hour and a half at the end of the 24 hours to finish your last lap. So in theory, your 24-hour race could last as long as 25 and a half hours. That's the race, Saturday afternoon to Sunday afternoon. But there are events before and after that you should, if you're going to come to Worlds anyway, and you're flying all the way down to Florida to do this race, spend a lot of money on plane tickets, on lodging, on gear, on the race ticket itself. Come for the full experience. Before the race, there is the World's Toughest Mudder Community Dinner. And that's a time for people who are doing the race for the first time, people who have done the race multiple times, kind of get together to meet each other, to reunite with each other, to see each other again, and you hang out. That's the night before the race. It's actually typically on Thursday. I'm not sure if it'll be Thursday or Friday this year. But if you can, you definitely want to come to the World's Toughest Mudder Community Dinner before the race. Then there's the race. After the race, there's two main events. The first one is the World's Toughest Mudder Champions Brunch. And that will be Monday morning. So you finish the race Sunday afternoon, you go home, you sleep, and then you come back Monday morning for the Champions Brunch. Champions Brunch is a celebration of the race, of the winners, and of the community. It's a great, great time. Big buffet brunch with a award ceremony and recap video and just a cool atmosphere to be in. All these, like this race is a unique thing, right? There's not a lot of people in the world that get it. There's 1,000 people a year that run this race, and to be with all of them in the room at the same time is a cool experience. That's Monday morning. Monday afternoon / evening is the bar crawl, and that's what this audio is from today that we're gonna listen to. The bar crawl is at one bar or one restaurant, and typically in the States, in the U.S., a bar crawl is you start at one bar and you kind of go to the next bar and you go to the next bar and you kind of go to multiple bars with your friends. At World's Toughest Mudder, the kind of the joke is World's Toughest the bar crawl. You go to one bar and you crawl around the bar because you're so tired from the race. So that's Monday night. So ideally, you would, if you're coming to the race, ideally you would fly home, Tuesday morning. Tuesday is the typical. If you're staying for all the events, Tuesday is when most people take out. Now some people leave Monday night and they have to, and some people don't. Some people leave Sunday night. Like that's kind of crazy, but it's done. It has been done. But if I were you, I would recommend flying in no later than Thursday and flying out no earlier than Tuesday. That's just what I would. Now I know that's a lot of time and time off and work. I'm just saying, if you could wave a magic wand, that's how I would do it. Before we get to our interviews, let's read some iTunes reviews.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars. 5 stars.
No new reviews to read today, but if you go to lovethepodcast.com/tough, you can leave a review for the show, and I will read it on a future episode. lovethepodcast.com/tough, and I will read it on a future episode. We're going to talk to about, I want to say 8 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 8 people exactly. Trust your gut, Will. We're talking to 8 folks from the bar crawl. And some of them, you can tell, have been doing a little crawling, let's say. Anyway, it's a snapshot into the bar crawl experience the night after World's Toughest Mudder. It's time to talk to the bar crawl. Let's go to the phones. Deanna Brass.
Will Hicks.
You are my first guest on the bar crawl episode of World's Toughest Podcast.
I feel so honored.
Deanna, how was your race?
It was not as good as I wanted, but better than I expected.
So how many laps did you do?
I did 7 laps.
35 miles.
Yes.
I talked with you maybe 30 minutes before the race started, and you said something to the effect of, my hip is really bothering me. I might do 1 lap.
Yeah, so I came into it with an injury. I've got this bum hip. It flares up every now and then. And it decided to act up during an ultra I did about a month ago. and it hasn't gotten better since. So, like, it's been hurting nonstop. But I got out there, I started running, and I didn't want to stop.
So it wasn't necessarily a lie, you told me. Okay.
I pushed through the pain
Okay.
until it got too much.
All right. It's World's Toughest Mudder. It's what you do.
Yep.
That's good. 7 laps. How did you feel about that when you were done?
Pardon me?
35 miles. How do you feel about your race?
I wish I could have done more, but obviously, like, I'm happy with how I did. Like, I was moving a lot slower than I usually do, so it gave me the chance to actually talk to people that I usually just run by. I was able to run and walk bits and pieces with people that I usually don't, so it was a different experience, and I loved it.
That's it. I've been talking with people, and tons of people have done World's Toughest different ways this year. Stephanie Bishop spent 24 hours dancing.
Yeah.
People pit crew. People volunteer. There's really no wrong way to do World's Toughest. We're not going to run 100 miles every year.
Exactly, and it's such an amazing experience being out here with these people and soaking in these vibes in whatever way you can. And I love it.
What did you think of the course this year?
I liked the course. I know a lot of people are complaining about the penalties. I think that it's okay. Like, it's World's Toughest Mudder. It's not supposed to be easy.
It's not supposed to be. If you paid $500 for a race with toughest in the name and it was easy, you'd feel ripped off.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to complain about it, but everyone knows how much mileage they actually did, even if the results don't show it. So you got your mileage in, and you should be proud of whatever you accomplished.
Your 35 miles of course miles, what in real life, what did that translate to?
I have no idea because I don't wear a watch when I run.
They have a name for that when you run with no watch and no headband.
I think they call that naked running.
Naked running, thank you.
Yeah.
Which you got to be careful because you're like, yeah, it could mean, yeah. So you don't run with, you run with headphones?
I haven't worn a watch in years.
Okay.
So.
What do you think about Central Florida? Will we see you there?
I will be there for sure. I love Florida, so it's going to be nice and flat. It'll be fun.
Deanna Brass, any last thoughts?
Yeah, just honestly, have fun with this event. No matter what happens, it's an amazing experience.
Deanna Brass, thanks much.
Thank you.
Hey, you guys want to pass this microphone around?
Not me.
No. Team Four Eyes, let's go, man.
No, man.
Tell me your name and...
I'm not good.
No? 2 minutes? Okay. Tell me your name.
My name is Joe Van Dyke.
Joe, how many times have you run World's Toughest Mudder?
I've done every single one.
Every single one. How many of... I don't even know what the term for that is. How many of you are there left?
Oh, so we're still all Team Four Eyes, so all three of us still do
Well,
it.
no, I mean like guys that have run
together?
every World's Toughest.
I believe there's 5, possibly 6 of us.
It feels like a little less every year.
Every single year. But again, family, jobs, you name it. Something
Stuff happens.
comes up.
Life happens.
Yeah.
You get it. Team Four Eyes, you got the band back together this year.
Getting back together.
Last year, just you.
Yep.
Correct? This year, everybody back?
Everybody back.
How was that?
It was the best thing ever. I mean, it was so much fun to be able to run with Casey and Walter. I have no words for it. It's amazing.
How was your race?
Race was good. We initially wanted to do 75, ended up doing over 50 if you include penalties. So we got our brown bibs, and it was a good time. So, course was a bit challenging in some sections, more so from the obstacle standpoint, but overall, just being able to be with those guys and catch up and everything else, it was just the best thing ever.
So you've been to every World's Toughest Mudder. Been 12 World's Toughest.
Correct.
You were in New Jersey in December when it was super cold. You were in Atlanta, 2018, another super cold, super hard event. What people talk about the penalty difficulty this year. If you had to rank about where, not exactly, but about where would you rank this one in terms of difficulty?
Ooh, that's a good one. Penalties weren't overly difficult. I would say the distance was more of the limiting factor to the penalties this year. I do remember the first World's Toughest Mudder where if you couldn't finish, I forget what the obstacle was, but coming out of the water, you do the rope climb up onto the platform, and they made you stand outside for 5 minutes in the freezing cold or whatever it was. It was horrifically bad. So maybe I would place this one second just because doing the distances, if you happen to fail like every single obstacle, I've heard that it can equate to more than 2 miles. So that adds a lot of time to your day. I mean, thankfully the conditions were very favorable. It was relatively warm. It wasn't super cold. Thankfully, the wind didn't come through at night because I think that really would have messed with a lot of people because when you're on the backside of the course, there was a lot of back-to-back water obstacles, and I think that would have really messed with people. Even last year in Alabama, you expected it to be warm, and then that whole cold front came through. It was raining in the morning. It never really opened up sunny-wise. It was windy overnight, and you're running along those pine trees in that little tiny wind corridor. That was awful. I mean, that was really, really cold, even considering, how warm it was overall air temperature.
So I heard you say second in there.
Yeah.
Do you think this was the second toughest other than New Jersey? I mean, here's what makes it difficult to compare. The weather is so different. This year was like good, like almost perfect weather, right?
Great.
As good as you could hope for.
True.
Right? Like if you were to wave a magic wand, great weather.
I mean, I love racing in all things warm weather, hot, humid, whatever. I'll take that over freezing cold any day.
Sure.
That being said, I think a lot of people may have realized of how nice it was and went out harder than they should have. Rather than like really pacing themselves back early on, dehydration sets in really fast.
Sure.
And a lot of people cramp up and everything else. So that may have been a limiting factor, but I hope next year in Florida, I'll take warm, hot, humid any day, but I don't think it's going to be nearly as rocky. It may be really, really slick, muddy. I really don't know. So
That's interesting. We might get some more heat-related weather concerns instead of cold.
Or a late-season hurricane. You never know.
So we'll see Team Four Eyes next year?
I'm going to say yes, but it's a year away, so we'll see.
You guys got a good streak going.
I'll be there.
You'll be there. That's awesome. Any last thoughts on World's Toughest 2023?
To everyone in the community, to our amazing pit crew, Amelia and Cassie this year. I mean, there's not enough thanks that can go out to them. Knowing you, knowing Carlo, knowing everyone else within the OCR community, I mean, it's truly the best group of people ever. Whether you do it one time, multiple times, every time, truly the best. And I can't thank you guys enough, seriously.
Joe Van Dyke, thanks much. Should we talk? No pressure. 2 minutes. It'll be 2 minutes. Tell me your name and how many times have you run World's Toughest?
My name is Dan Kuvas. This is my 8th World's Toughest Mudder.
8th World's Toughest Mudder. How was your race this year?
I didn't hit my mileage goal. I always want to get that brown bib. I didn't this year. I hit a wall in the middle of the night. Just shame on me, lack of training, more than anything else.
Tell me about hitting that wall. Super common, happens to almost everybody. Different points of the race. What's the wall look like for you?
It wasn't cold. It wasn't anything. I feel like I just wasn't trained the way that I wanted to. So I sat down, and I didn't want to get back up. And then I laid down, and then I really didn't want to get back up. And that's what got me there. But my pit managed to wake me up in the morning and get me back out on course to go out, be an actual finisher. Because at that point in time, at 6 a.m., I was done. But I went back out at 7, got one more lap in, so I could be an official finisher.
People, especially when you're like early, like you think the pit is your friend. Like, when I get back to the pit, I can relax. I get something to eat. The pit is not your friend.
No,
the pit is your enemy. You got to get in, and you know this. I'm preaching to the choir. You got to get in, you got to get your stuff, and get out. I've done the same thing. You sit down, and before you know it, you are literally laying down. Then you're asleep.
100%.
How do you, if you're telling a first timer, like how to avoid that? What would you tell them? Is there a secret? Just don't stop?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a secret. I mean, like my good friend Charlie, he's like, no napping. Napping is not allowed. Just someone to be in your ear and tell you to keep on going. And I had that, but I didn't listen to him this year.
Tell me about your pit crew.
Oh, I didn't have a pit crew. I have kind of like a group that we all kind of pit together. So like
Sure.
2 people are servicing like 9 people.
That's awesome. So how many miles total this year?
45 official miles. I think my watch tracked 56.
Talking about the unofficial mileage, what'd you think of the penalties this year?
I have mixed opinions on it. Penalties are supposed to be penalties. But in the spirit of Tough Mudder, it's always been more of like a punishment, not a punishment. To use some phrasing that I've seen online already today. everything just became a 10-minute adder and kind of turned it into a trail race and less of an obstacle course race.
Sure. Do you think it should have been a little more fun, a little less punishment?
You know, what I would like to see is going back to like the 16, 17 days where obstacles got easier and harder throughout the course of the night.
They only did that like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
I know they would Funky Monkey, they would put planks out.
Yeah.
So it was easier to complete. Yeah.
So they modified stuff. Now, with the way that obstacles are set up, not everyone, somebody has to take up a station at places like Everest or Mutterhorn or Dublin Walls because 85-90% of people need some sort of assistance getting over those things. I mean, something as easy as a toe cleat on Dublin Walls wouldn't need to have somebody there 24 hours a day.
What do you think of the obstacles this year?
I miss the epic obstacles. We haven't had an epic obstacle as part of World's Toughest Mudder for several years.
Looking back, 8 years of World's Toughest experience, what's your favorite epic obstacle?
Oh, the cliff, 100%. You can make it twice as high. I'd jump off that thing.
You like it?
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
enjoy. What do you like about the cliff?
Oh, I've jumped off of just about anything imaginable. So.
Did you run 2018 in Atlanta?
I did, yeah.
Do you remember the obstacle Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
That is my favorite obstacle.
Twin Peaks was fun. Like you have to have the core strength to be able to like straddle it.
Yep.
You know, so if you didn't have that, if you weren't tall enough, you're screwed. But.
Yep, that was good. Any last thoughts? World's Toughest 2023.
Looking forward to next year. You know, getting some payback on not getting my 50 or more next year.
All right, thanks much.
I appreciate it.
Jules Estes.
Hello there, Will Hicks.
How was your race?
It was very good in the fact that when I finished, I was completely depleted and had nothing left to give.
That is a win.
It is a win.
Allison Tye told me once her goal is to finish every race with nothing in the tank.
I definitely had nothing in the tank. I could have, of course, like most people, had better circumstances throughout the race, which would have given me more miles. But whatever I did, I gave it my all, and I did not stop. So my motto of 1 foot in front of the other and repeat.
How many miles did we get?
I ended up with 55 official miles.
The Dirty Brown Bib.
I did get it. I am also type 1 diabetic, which is unusual, and I had a lot of difficulty managing my blood sugars this particular World's Toughest. So I was incapable of moving at a fast pace for many periods due to high blood sugars.
How else does the diabetes affect your running at World's Toughest?
It makes it so difficult. I barely eat throughout them because if I eat, it impacts my carbohydrates, and the carbohydrates is my blood sugar, and it's difficult to control. So I had 2 laps where I was over 350 as a diabetic, and so I cannot go at a fast pace or I get at risk of being hospitalized, and it just makes a whole nother level of difficulty. But if you just go slow and keep moving and correct as you go and just keep moving.
You're looking fit. How was your training leading up?
So I've recently become a CrossFitter. I've never CrossFitted before. So I did a lot of CrossFit. I've burnt myself out of running the last 2 years. So I did not do any running until 6 weeks ago. So my running wasn't great, but it's just, I really believe it's a lot of mental grit that brings you through these events.
So how did you like the course this year?
I actually thought I liked the course in the fact that the penalties I thought were great for the difficulty of the obstacle. The penalties were necessary for the difficulty, which is good. Like the penalty should not be easier than the obstacle. And it also, I tried so much harder on some of the obstacles to complete them because I knew the penalty was so nasty, and I got through a lot more obstacles. Of course, for this year, I am much more beat up and cut than I've ever been for a World's Toughest. I had open wounds, bleeding, that I've never had in years past.
Open wounds, bleeding. What obstacle did that to you?
Just a tip. On my last lap, I did not want to do the penalty because I had a massive blister on my foot, and somehow I finished and I burst my finger open from a compression something. I got caught on the barbed wire early on and was bleeding from my arm, and I think those are the only two massively bleeding issues.
What are we going to do? What about next year? Will we see you in Florida?
Apparently, yes.
Apparently?
I swore never again, but I live in New Hampshire. It's an easy flight. I was born in Orlando, Florida, and lived there for many years, so I feel like I have to go back home.
You still have friends, family down there?
I don't. Nope. I have no one down there, but it feels like home every time I go there.
Jules, any last thoughts on World's Toughest 2023?
I think it's great. I was very happy with the way they had the penalty laps. There was no way you could cheat. It was suffering. It made you really force the obstacles. It wasn't anything fancy, but it was very gritty and very difficult.
Jules Estes, thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Will.
Good job. Carlo Piscatello.
Will Hicks, how are you, buddy?
So good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
World's Toughest Mudder 2023.
Yep.
You were up and awake for all 24 hours, 25 and a half hours.
And beyond, yes.
What did you think of this event compared to past events?
I really enjoyed this event. I know it's been kind of the hot button, the main takeaway from this, but and again, I get people will give me crap because I didn't actually run it, but I liked the kind of return to there's a consequence for failing a penalty, and in this case, the consequence was long penalties. We had them in 2015, we had them in 2016, right? 2017. So I'm it was kind of nice to see him kind of get back to that.
The penalties the last 2 years, 2021 and 2022, were not onerous, right?
Correct.
But I remember back in Las Vegas, rolling uphill on under barbed wire, up rocks.
2015.
And that was probably a quarter-mile barbed wall, crawl, roll, whatever. Yes. It's not like bad, terrible penalties are a new thing.
No, exactly. And I think that was Berlin Wall. It was something like Berlin Walls. It was it wasn't a...
It was the gambler that... You roll a die.
Yeah, and then the different height walls.
And if you get a 1 and 2, you get low walls. You get 3 or 4. Anyway, there was the harder. There were 6 walls. There were different difficulties. You roll a die to see which one you get.
Yeah, I remember it was late-ish, my last lap or second to last lap. Scott McCracken and I were running together, and we decided to take the penalty on that. We hadn't done it at all, and we did, and we were like, "What are we doing?"
The guy at the penalty, he's like, "No, you don't want to take that penalty." I was like, "No, I'm gonna be all right." And then I'm like, "No, he was right. I do not want to do this."
An uphill roll barbed wire crawl. It was like, what is happening right now? Yeah. So, but no, in general. So because of that, and I wasn't having to deal with all the there was cactus everywhere. I mean, they did a good job of keeping you out of it. But if you fell or something, yeah, you were getting poked.
Our buddy Raymond Vincent this year ran barefoot. I was like, did you didn't you step on cactus? He's like, oh yeah, no, I did. Absolutely.
Make no mistake.
I was like, what'd you do? He's like, I just stopped and pulled it out. So
that guy's he's a different animal than I am. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I don't like walking to to my kitchen barefoot.
No, exactly.
So, so how many World Toughest have you been at?
I've been at or competed in? Okay, I have been. I have to name them off, otherwise I'll forget. So I've been at everyone. I've been at all of them since 2015 that they've had.
Sure.
Obviously 2020, and actually even virtual. I was part of the 24-hour broadcast.
You were. That was pretty exciting.
That's a totally different animal. I never want to do that again either.
We're recording this in 2023. You're talking about during the first COVID pandemic.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this in the future, it was way back when. One pandemic ago.
And it was myself, it was Sean Corvell, it was former CEO Kyle McLaughlin, and Clinton Jackson. And we literally were basically on a 24-hour Zoom call. I sat in the same chair, on pillows, by the way, for 24 hours.
Didn't you get up and do burpees or push-ups or something?
Every hour on the hour, I did 10 burpees. No Spartan influence whatsoever. I just needed something to keep me moving. Yeah, every hour on the hour, I did 10 burpees. And I meal prepped during that. I was running off to the kitchen to cook my meals for the week. Yeah, because I had all day. I literally had all day, and I was in my kitchen.
Thinking back on COVID in 2020, like that year, it's crazy the things we did just to like try and have normalcy, which you get it. But man, like that was not a super fun event.
I got in great shape. I was a little heavier than I wanted to be coming out of 2019.
Yeah,
and I ran a lot during lockdown just because it's all you could do. I ran, and I bought a PlayStation. I started playing MLB The Show. Like, that's what I did.
They were arresting people down in my neck of the woods for going to the beach. Like, you couldn't...
literally arresting them?
They were... Well, I don't know if they were catching... I remember there's this viral video of a guy that was on the beach. Like, literally, he's the only guy on the beach. Zero risk of anyone getting COVID. And this cop, big fella, is like... starts chasing the dude. And the dude, they had this like running race on the beach. The guy's like running. I don't know if it's resisting arrest at that point. He's like, I'm not getting arrested for going to the beach.
Yeah.
Takes off. Cops chasing him across the beach.
It was a different time, Will Hicks.
COVID does funny things to a person.
Yeah. But anyway, 2023. That's where we are. World's Toughest Mudder.
I thought it was a good event.
I think it was a really good
our
event.
second year of live stream coverage.
Yes.
And you were in charge of all the social media posts. Crushed it.
Yep. Thank you.
You can see all of Carlo's work at the OCR Report on Instagram.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was from a media perspective, it was a really accessible course. So, and the cool thing when we go to areas like this where there's not a lot of trees, you have a lot. It's very easy to see landmarks and very easy to see like, oh, we can go shoot over there. It's very, I mean, Everest and like Matterhorn you can see from everywhere, but it was like, yeah, it was really great easy to get to places. Your and my last year running was 2021. Yep. And we both like to play with the idea of running the race again. We're both in, young-ish. We're both in reasonable shape. We can get in good shape if we need to. Yes. Fighting shape, as they say. Yes. What are your plans for 2024? 2024, I want to run. About a month ago, it was my intention to run this race. And I've been kind of like nursing a little knee problem for most of the year. And I ran a 20K trail race out in the Redwoods that my friends put on. And my knee was like, no, you're not. You told me, hey, I'm running this year. I'm not going to. And then you called me back. I will say this because I want it to be on air too. I do hope the next time I run, I would love to be able to find some kind of a happy median with like hybrid coverage where I get to run and cover. Sure. I don't know what that looks like, but it'd be fun to try that. But figure it out. Send you out there with a GoPro or something. Something like that, yeah. A gimbal. Hey, we're gonna take a quick break to go take a photo. Understood. That's true. And we're back with the fun group photo. I can never tell if I'm in those things or not. Well, we won't know until they post it, and we'll be like, I'm over there on the. Nope, they cropped it. Yeah. If they have to crop it at all, we're doomed. So you'll be able to see you. Me, Carl, and I are on the stage left side of the photo, next to Christian Brown Johnson in the orange jacket. Isn't stage left from the audience? It's the actors' stage. Oh, it is the actors. And I was in drama. You think I'd know that? I'm pretty sure it was from the audience perspective. Someone will argue about it in the comments. Well, if it was the audience perspective, then why do you have to say stage left? Why don't you say left? Will? I don't know. Do you know what I heard? I heard that break a leg. It means I hope you get in the cast. So I don't know. Okay, I don't know the origins of that. But as a kid who grew up in drama, we were explained like, we said that. You never said good luck. You always said break a leg. But no, they say like you get in the cast, like a cast. Yes, I understand what you said. It's a double entendre. I got it. It's a non-sexual double entendre. Most double entendres are hard to come by, off color, are not for your children. I said hard to come by. I'm just saying, since we're talking about... This is a family show, Carlo. I get it. You know that. That's as far as it goes. That was topical. I hope you get in the cast. It was topical. That's the joke. Thank you. I'm trying to remember what we were talking about before we broke for the... We're talking about live stream coverage and what I did and social media-wise, and then... I think from our point of view, like the media side of it, I think it went well. Like, it went really well. Your photos are great on the Instagram. Very impressed. Jack's photos are great. You can see those at theocrreport.com/photos. I'm trying. We're going to be in Florida next year from now. I'm actually excited about that. I'm not a big fan of going to Florida, but like, I think there'll be a favorable. Well, it depends where it is, I guess. But I feel like first thought is like it's going to be flat, right? I mean, even in Atmore, they said they found some in Alabama. They found some elevation. There was no elevation.
No.
The elevation was Mudderhorn.
Yeah.
That was the elevation. So, but is it going to be swampy? Like, is it going to be like
Swampy,
mucky?
sandy,
Right.
super muddy.
Right.
Mud, I mean, obviously it's tough mudder, world's toughest mudder.
Yep.
Mud slows down lap times.
And mud. Lindsay Webster told me this, if I can name drop. But she told me this one time.
You know Lindsay Webster?
Well, not really, but, we've talked.
Do you know any other world's toughest mudder champions?
I know a couple of them, yeah. Yeah. That's just, anyway. What's up, Amelia? Anyway, so...
What Lindsay Webster told you?
What Lindsay Webster said was... Because I forget what event it was. We were talking about one of the toughest or something, and it had been raining, so the obstacles were wet. And she's like, "Oh, well, I don't worry about wet obstacles. Wet obstacles aren't slippery. Muddy obstacles are slippery." She's like, "Wet. If you have decent grip strength, your grip can make up for wet, but your grip can't make up for mud because then there's an actual lubricant.
And it's actually slippery. That's interesting. That's a." That's actually some educational knowledge there.
Because she would know. She doesn't fail obstacles, and I do.
Right.
So.
Well, cool. Well, I'm looking forward to Florida. Every year, nowhere else I'd rather be this weekend. World's toughest mudder.
Oh, for 100%. Like, yeah. I mean, I've been looking forward to it. Well, I was kind of, it's been a different year. I didn't cover as many events as I normally do, and that's just kind of the way the schedule worked out. But then going and covering OCRWC a few weeks ago, like, absolutely, like, the fire was like lit. I could not wait for that next month to go by, and I was so excited to get out here. So, yeah, I mean, I'll come to this event every year they have it because I just enjoy it too much, and I enjoy the community a ton. And and then events like this, it's like I love it.
What would you say to a first timer who's thinking about coming next year?
I would say absolutely do it. I'd say you can do it. You absolutely can do it. I mean, there's people of all. That was what kept me from doing it. Well, that night, it was expensive back then to, fly back east. Like, I didn't think, when I first read about World's Toughest Mudder, I was like, oh, I can't ever do that. I don't know what the heck, those weirdos, But then I met some guys in the Bay Area who had done it, and they were like, weekend warriors like me, like very average Joes, and they did okay. And that was the first time I had seen like someone who wasn't an elite athlete talking about it. And I was like, oh, shoot. So, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. You absolutely can do it. So I would say sign up and go.
Any last thoughts on World's Toughest 2023?
I can't wait till next year. I'm super excited to get to Florida.
Carlo Piscatello, nice much.
Thanks much.
Tell me your name.
Jake Dean.
Say again?
Jake Dean.
JT?
Yeah.
JT, what were you just holding there in your hand?
The new Holy Grail Chalice.
Tell me about the new Holy Grail Chalice. What you had to do with it?
Well, I designed it because last year, me and my teammate, we went out to do the Holy Grail, as a challenge. We've been doing Tough Mudder since 2018 and Spartan races since, 2009.
Sure.
And I found Tough Mudder and I just loved it. I absolutely fell in love with the community. And it absolutely sets it apart from every other OCR that I've done. And so I made this makeshift thing because I heard that we didn't have anything to drink out of. So I made this makeshift thing and I brought it to the brunch last year. And people were like, take my money, I want one. And it was just a cheap little cup, like with a skull. And I was like, I could do so much better for us. So I spent about 4 months designing, editing, CADing it out for 3D print, and with a resin printer. And I developed this and designed this. And then I pitched it to Tough Mudder, and they picked it up. Giles and Chris have been so awesome, and they picked up the design and partnered with me, and they took it and produced it.
That's awesome. Did you run this year?
I did.
How'd you go? How'd you do?
I wanted 50, but I got 40. The penalty loops were a little longer, but I still had fun on the course. I had a blast, like always.
What did you think of the obstacles?
Obstacles were great. Honestly, like the up on challenge was good. I liked it. It wasn't overly critical like I thought it was going to be. Like last year, most of my first Worlds, and I was like wow, this is so much harder than a regular event. But it wasn't so hard, it was undoable, right? So like I enjoy the up and the competitive. Like at this stage, we should have a little bit harder obstacles to go with.
Yeah, it's world's toughest mutter. The first time I ran it, I thought, oh, it's a long, tough mutter. I can do it. And it is a long, tough mutter, but it's also a tough mutter.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. No, it lives up to its name. It's not for the weak or the meek. It's definitely an event that's like, it definitely is an event that should live up to its name. So the obstacles should be harder. So, it really makes you choose what band to use to skip, right, on an obstacle, right? Me and my teammates were like, all right, because we're a team, we have to skip the same obstacle. So it was like, well, man, which one did we really got us? Really, we just really grinded our gears, and it was like, man, they're all really good, but they're all really equally kind of challenging. So I thought it was a great balance.
What was your team name?
Maximum Effort. So we were good enough to place 5th this time, which was surprising. So
that's awesome. Are you going to run next year in Florida?
Oh, absolutely. It's in my own backyard.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I'm in Gulf Breeze, which is near Pensacola, and it's less than 6 hours from me. So we did Atmore last year. We drove for this one, but yeah, no, we're super excited about Florida.
It's nice when they're close because you can just fill up your car instead of having to worry about forgetting something and packing it in the air. Like driving distance, it's random, luck of the draw, but it's nice when you can drive.
Oh yeah, no, it's great because we go to Orlando all the time for like Disney World and things like that. I've got 4 kids, and so we pack up the car, and we've got this nice Arctic tent that's 10 by 20, and it's pretty stellar, especially for Worlds. So, and I have my wife as my pit crew, and she makes sure to kick us out on the course. So it's a blast. And I'm running with my son, who's just turned 18. Like last year, he was like a lost puppy, couldn't run it, right, because he was 17. But this year, he got him 25, and he got the Holy Grail. So super proud of that.
That's awesome. JT, any last thoughts on World's Toughest 2023?
No, I can't wait for next year already, right? Like you're out there and you're like, man, I can't wait for this. Oh, I'm so tired of running this one. But then when it's over and you get that medal and you're like, okay, I can't wait for next year. So,
JT, thanks much. Jessica Johnson.
Hello, Will Hicks.
Jessica, I've seen you at multiple World's Toughest Mutters.
I've been around.
I feel like we usually talk at brunch.
We usually do.
We are at the bar crawl.
We are.
What did you do for World's Toughest Mutter 2023?
I am a pit crew extraordinaire.
Extraordinaire. What does that mean?
Well, I've been pitting for a while now, and pitting for a specific group of people. So I say extraordinaire because I can anticipate the needs, and with my people specifically, I can push them how they need to be pushed. And
you know what? There are skill sets. Pit crew has it's not just like, hey, they say, hey, give me a sandwich, you make them a sandwich. Like, there's skills. What are some things a good pit crew member can do? What you should do?
A pit crew member needs to have patience because your runner may not know what they need when they come back into the pit. So you ideally have to have a plan going into, a rough plan going into World's Toughest Mudder specifically, of what they like to eat. It helps if they've run it before, which most of my runners had. So they know what works for them, what doesn't. Especially since I pitted for 2 of them before, I knew what works and what doesn't, and I know how far to push them when they don't. So they need to eat, regardless if they want to eat or not. You need to make sure they're hydrated. If they're hurting, it helps to know if they have injuries. We had a person in our pit that could stretch them out and kind of like a mini PT guy.
Sure.
So it's anticipating others' needs. That's kind of a big thing that works for a pit crew.
What about in the middle of the night when the runner doesn't want to go back out? They say, oh, I'm tired, or oh, I'm afraid I might hurt myself. Like, what do you do as a pit crew member extraordinaire? How do you get them out, or what's the thought process behind that? Do you want to force them out?
It depends. You have to. It's ideal to talk with your runner beforehand about what their A, B, and C goals might be, what their what they would really love to do, what they would be happy with, and what they would settle with. And so you have to know there's a difference between hurting and having an injury. If they're hurting, they can go back out there because they can push through it. But if there's an injury, then you have to assess, okay, is it worth it to push them back out there to meet their goals, or will it cause more damage and will they not be able to run anymore? So that's a pretty big difference between a hurting and an injury is a pretty big piece.
We're going to take a quick break to listen to Callie Schweikart and Chris Mendoza
Yes, please.
play some instruments. That was something.
That was great. They were amazing.
Callie Schweikart and Chris Mendoza. Just, I don't know the names of those songs, but
I do not either.
They're both good, talented.
Beautiful. Beautiful
Callie
singer.
sings. Chris plays the guitar.
We know Chris could strum, but
I don't know if I knew that.
Well, they've had their rap battles with Keith Allen before.
That's true. That's true. Although
Christopher Mendoza.
I'm getting eye rolls from across the table around here. We need to. I don't know if I feel bringing back rap battles might not be a good idea.
I feel
don't
like
know.
it should happen.
They made me laugh. At
I
the
feel
time,
like the community pages have gotten too quiet, and we need to bring back battles.
2017. That was a long time ago. Did you have any?
That's when I first ran my first Worlds.
It's not a battle if one of the people gets destroyed. Someone just told me across the table.
Very true. Very true.
Do you have any musical talents, skills?
I'm not the worst singer in the world.
Okay.
I can karaoke with the best of them.
You know what I'm kind of surprised at is we've never had like WTM community karaoke.
I would do community karaoke like nobody's business.
We every year we go to a bar crawl like this one, and here's the thing about if you've never been to a World's Toughest Mudder bar crawl, they're always at one bar. The joke is you're crawling around the bar because you're so
Yes.
sore.
Or you have to crawl to the bar, one or the other.
I'm kind of surprised we've never done it at a karaoke.
So,
Wait, yeah, last year though.
So last year, that was the first year. So I've been going to World's bar crawls since 2016. Last year was the first year, 2022, that we actually moved locations. There was the main brewery bar we went to.
Right.
They started a comedy night that was not fun.
I think that's when I bailed. I think I left halfway through then.
We went around the corner and took over a whiskey bar that was not expecting.
I heard about this. I did hear about
70
this.
people.
They're like, "What are you guys doing? Who are you?" Like,
We handled it, but then I went over with a couple of other people, and a few people had meandered over there. But down the street there was a karaoke bar, and I actually went up and sung a song. Actually, Fran was there. Fran and Jason were there.
what is your karaoke song of choice?
I have two.
Okay.
They're kind of adjusting, but my I Hate Myself for Loving You by Joan Jett.
Sure.
And I know all the words to Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang.
Rapper's Delight by the Sugar Hill Gang.
So if I feel like subjecting people to a 7.5 minute short version of that song, then I'll do it. But
I don't think I've sang karaoke since I lived in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was probably 2007. And I think it was that song from the end of Grease. You're the one that I want? Is that it?
you're the one that I want. Yeah.
But that's the duet, so I don't know. I don't think I was singing with somebody, though, so I don't know.
You must have done it by yourself.
Okay, that's a lie. That's a lie. Because my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, has a karaoke app and a karaoke machine. I told her this isn't a bar. It was in my living room. But I did do karaoke with my daughter. And it was like, it was a Imagine Dragons song.
Okay. That's a good.
I don't know the names. Like the words were on the screen, and it's something
Do
I've
you
heard in the car
shatter
with her.
windows, or are you okay?
Oh, I'm terrible. I cannot carry a tune in a bucket with a lid. I'm literally probably the worst singer you ever heard. Like
I
it's
doubt
that bad.
I very much doubt it.
So
I'm okay.
the only time I sing is in the car by myself. Not even with my kids. By myself. It's so bad.
I used to sing in high school so that I could actually sing, but I'm out of practice, so it is what it is.
I don't know.
I have had people come. I didn't know you could sing.
Yeah. I used to be able to sing until my voice changed, like 11 or 12.
Yeah.
Like I was in like youth choir and stuff at church. But once the old voice started cracking, it was that was it for singing well.
My newer one I do is She Bop by Cyndi Lauper.
I don't know.
Which is
that
like
song.
a B-side Cyndi Lauper.
You know, I love this event, World's Toughest Mudder. I love everything about it. And I think if I were to tell someone first-timer, it's a long event, 24 hours. But if you want to come early for the community dinner and you want to stay late for brunch and the bar crawl. Like, they add so much to the experience. We're walking around. I'm meeting people I've never met before. I've come to World's Toughest almost every year since 2015, meeting people I haven't met before. It's I love all the community events like this one we're at right now.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I always come at least Wednesday or Thursday just because I like to be settled wherever we're at. And then like this year and last year, I'm leaving on Wednesday. So just to make sure.
Leaving on Wednesday?
Leaving on Wednesday.
Okay, what are you doing tomorrow? Most people fly out Tuesday.
Most people fly out Tuesday. We got a house here, and we have kayaks, actually. It's on the river, so we might just hang out. There's a possibility of going to get tattoos.
Oh, my.
So we'll see. What happens.
When you say possibility of tattoos, it feels like that conversation. You're further along in the conversation than just possibility.
Two of our housemates have appointments, and I've kind of been added on to the appointment.
Are they going to be matching?
Nick Artis and I are going to get, I don't know if you noticed on the big Jumbotron at Worlds, the little ghosties.
Okay.
Little ghosts,
Sure.
little cowboy ghosts. We're going to get one of those.
Where are these tattoos going?
I don't know yet. Because we have a hot tub and we want to be able to go in the hot tub afterwards.
Oh, so it's got to be like
it's going to have to be
probably.
up. Yeah. But we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
You know, I remember my very first World's Toughest Mudder. There were people giving free haircuts, like shaving mohawks in there. This is like 2011, 2012. And free tattoos of the Tough Mudder logo.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore. That was a long time ago.
No. My first one in 2013, they were giving out, you could get a Tough Mudder tattoo. I didn't get one then, but I did get one after my first Worlds.
Do they still? You still get like a season pass or lifetime admission for a tattoo?
If you do, so you have to get the pledge tattooed on you, and it has to be like 10 by 10. And you have to get it approved before you get it, but you can still get a lifetime Tough Mudder pass for getting the pledge tattooed on your body.
That is, what's that worth? What's the value? It's like a season pass every year, right?
It's a season pass
So
every year.
what's a season pass? $500, $600?
At least, yeah.
Times, guess you're going to live 30 more years?
If you're going to keep doing them.
I mean,
if you want it that much, then yeah, it's worth it, I think. If you're okay with that.
I'm trying to think if I'd rather have the, it's not even, man, I think I'd rather have the clean real estate on my back. Although if it's on your back, you'll never see it.
You'll never see it. You don't have to look at it. Back of your thigh. That works.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do it. All right.
Yeah.
Don't talk me into it, Jessica. I'm not going to do it.
I think we should go tomorrow.
That is a negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full. What else should we tell maybe people who've never run World's Toughest Mudder who are like, 24 hours is crazy. I could never do that. What would you tell them?
So when I first got introduced to the community, I was just volunteering and pit crewing with the orphan tent and meeting everybody. And they finally convinced me, okay, maybe I could do it. I kept saying, I could never do this. I could never do this. And they're like, sure you could. And I said, okay, well, maybe I can. But how do you even start training for that? And this was a Saturday at a regular Tough Mudder weekend. And somebody told me, you know how you start training for this? Come back tomorrow. So doing the Saturday and the Sunday. And that's literally what I started doing the next year. I went from doing one event a year to the year I decided to do Worlds, I did 14 events. So that is literally the training that if you have the ability to do, that's what you do.
I remember standing in line, when you're early for the Saturday wave, you kind of have to wait in line for registration. And before the tables have opened up, kind of people are standing there in line. And I wish I had gotten their names. There were some folks in World's Toughest Mudder bibs before I'd ever run. And, I knew of World's Toughest Mudder, and I was like, hey, tell me about the bibs. Did you run last year? And I knew enough about it to ask questions. And they said, yeah, we're running today. We're running 2 laps today. And that blew my mind. And we're running tomorrow. I was like, you're going to do 30 miles in 2 days? Like, that's... And then thinking about it, like, 30 miles in 24 hours, a lot of people around here, that's... But and then I found out some people do 3 laps on a Saturday, and if they're super fast, you can do 2 on a Sunday. That's 50 miles and a regular Tough Mudder weekend. Now, you can't do that at every venue. It's time permitting and how late it goes on Sunday. It's not totally possible, but anyway, yeah, that's and then from there, you can maybe go to like an Infinity, 8-hour, go to a Toughest, 12-hour overnight.
Toughest 12 hours, that's a good dip in your toe in because you get the nighttime
The
training
hardest
on it.
part of World's Toughest.
You get to see how it is, and really that's the hard part for people because it's taking it away from what a normal person does is sleeping at night, and you have to stay up. You're cold, you're tired, but you have to keep going, and that's another some more advice for a first person is bring more than you need. It's always good to be prepared. Join the World's Toughest Mudder community group and just lurk in there and find all the information you need. But definitely it's better to have gear or something you don't think you may not need. It's better to have it and not need it than not have it and need it.
And it's not, in my mind, it's not even so much about the gear. It's about the mental well-being that I have all this stuff. And if I need something, I've got it. You're probably not going to need it, honestly, right? We've seen the elites, they bring like a shoebox, and they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I need more of a wetsuit than they need, and whatever stuff. But to bring lots of stuff is a mental... are you taking off? People are leaving around us. We're going to say goodbye to them. But Jessica, any last thoughts on World's Toughest Mudder?
Come join us.
Come join us. We'll see you next year.
We love everything, and see you next year.
Jessica Johnson, thanks much. Matthew Susko, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Matthew, how was your World's Toughest Mudder?
My World's Toughest Mudder was not what I expected. I trained for 75 miles. I got very humbled by this course. I had a rough journey. I learned a lot of lessons, and I think I'm going to come back stronger and harder next year.
Tell me one of those lessons. What did you learn?
I learned that I need to rely on the community more. I need to trust in myself, and I need to focus a lot harder on muscles and strength training.
Strength training. So you felt like your running was on point? Need a little more upper body?
My running was on point, yes, and my upper body was okay, not great. I think that I need to focus a little bit more on asking for help.
Focus on asking for help. What does that mean?
I needed a lot of help at a lot of obstacles, mostly Dublin walls. Joe Herman was there to help me a lot, and Dave Didier was there to help me a lot. And I found my race in helping them. I could not finish 75, so I stopped to help them.
How many did you end up finishing with?
35 miles.
35? How many times have you run World's Toughest now?
This is my third World's Toughest Mudder.
And we were inside just a minute ago, and you were kind of telling me about how you heard about World's Toughest. How did you hear about World's Toughest Mudder the first time?
So I was running Tougher Mudder at the time in 2019, right before COVID hit, and I started listening to this podcast, and it inspired me to think maybe I was crazy enough to run for 24 hours.
You're telling me you started episode 1
Yes.
and just went for it.
I just went for it. All the stories inspired me. I listened to Darth Vader talk about his story. I listened to a lot of people talk about their stories, and it just inspired me from there on. And I just wanted to see if I was crazy enough to do it. And the first World's Toughest Mudder I ran, I was like, all right, can I survive running for 24 hours? I did. And then the next one was like, all right, I did that. How far can I run? And then I ran 50 miles. And my goal is to always, number one, have Will Hicks crown me with my 24-hour headband. And if I ever decide this is my last one, I'm going to kiss him straight on the mouth. And his wife is going to have to forgive me.
Well, let's hope you never have your last World's Toughest Mudder. I did crown you at the finish line. That was an honor. You came up and I think you told me before. You asked me before. And then I was in the booth there. I'm like literally the 24 hours. You probably saw it multiple times running past.
Yeah.
It was an honor to crown you with your 24-hour headband.
Yeah. Thank you so much. It was a great time. I still enjoyed myself, still found time to enjoy myself, and I appreciate you every year.
Even like 35 miles, not your goal. It can be disappointing to not hit that number, whatever the number is, whether it's 50 or 75, 100. But still, even a bad World's Toughest Mudder, there's a lot you can take home from it. Take home with it.
Yeah, there is a lot I learned. There's a lot I need to relearn. I definitely have my training in mind for next year. A goal I want to set for next year, and I am more than excited for World's Toughest Mudder next year.
How will your training look different next year?
Next year, I'm going to focus on infinities. I love the infinity format. It is like my wheelhouse. I love running the 8-hour format. I don't know about toughest. Overnight, the demons start to come. I start to hear those voices like, you need to stop, you need to start doing this. And maybe like that is a sign saying I should focus on this more, but I don't want to.
Sure, yeah.
And I just want to stay with infinity and tough mudder and world's toughest is my goal right now. I've only ever traveled 9 hours from my personal location, and that's it.
So, infinities during the daytime, 8 hours. Toughest, 12 hours overnight. Yeah. Toughest is kind of like the worst parts of World's Toughest Mudder.
It is.
Just concentrated. Like, let's just do the worst part.
I agree.
So, yeah, if you're looking to kick those demons at World's Toughest, it might be a good place to practice.
It is a great place to practice, but at the same time, I do a lot of overnight training. So, like, my job entails night shift. So to get mentally prepared to work a 12-hour night shift, I usually run an overnight into the day before my night shift. So I run 12 hours into my night shift, and then I sleep, and then I work the night shift. So that is usually how I work. So I focus and kick those demons then, and not at toughest. Toughest this year in 2023 was more like, hey, I did, was it Minnesota? And I did Minnesota, and that was great. And then I did Unholy in Pittsburgh, which is my home venue, and that was miserable. Like, I was dead to rights. And maybe it was because I was doing Unholy, and Unholy is one hell of a feat. And I was at the time I was like, well, Unholy is training for WTM. That's what it is. And I was like, no more. I'm done. So that was it.
So you've listened to every episode of World's Toughest Podcast?
I am getting there. So I stopped right before the COVID years.
Okay.
And then skipped ahead to the most recent Atmore, Alabama episodes.
Sure.
And then I was like, all right, okay, this is like, I'm coming to this. I'm ready. I'm listening to you. I'm prepared. Let's go.
Do you have a favorite episode?
Do I have a favorite episode? I find the one with Darth Vader most inspiring. And then second only to Bubbles being interviewed and like listening to how he got his ID that says literally Bubbles. And I was like, yeah, okay, this is my kind of crazy.
Bubbles the Clown, Kevin Gregory. We actually talked with you. You were out there running, but
Yes.
we talked with him during the live stream last night. So yeah, I'm not sure what time it was, but if you go back through the live stream, you can find Bubbles the Clown, another interview with him.
Yeah, they say never meet your heroes, but I've met that dude a couple times, and he is still my hero.
That's hilarious. So what advice would you give somebody, first-timer?
First-timer, World's Toughest Mudder, the best thing I can tell you is focus on your why. Whatever your reason is for being there, focus on that. No matter what pain you're going through, no matter what trauma you have faced, your why is more important. Get through it. Keep pushing. Don't stop. There will be somebody there to help you. Don't be too proud. Please ask. We are there.
Any last thoughts? World's Toughest 2023?
It was ridiculous. I trained for 75. I got 35. Tough Mudder miles, 45 total miles with penalty loops. It was rough. Get out there. Get after it. Do not stop.
Matthew Sutsko, thanks much.
Thank you.
Special thanks to Deanna Brass, Joe Van Dyke, Dan Cuvis, Jules Estes, Carlo Piscatello, JT, Jessica Johnson, and Matthew Susko. Well done, everyone. I hope to see you all at World's Toughest Mudder this year. Will you be at World's Toughest Mudder 2024? Let me know, will@theocrreport.com. If you are, I'd love to talk to you. I will be live streaming the race during the race, but I will be around at all the events before the race and after the race, and I will probably have my microphone with me if you would like to be on World's Toughest Podcast. Run the race, maybe your pit crew. Doesn't matter to me. Let's chat. Love to have a good conversation, as they say in Florida. I don't know what they call it in Florida. Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts at lovethepodcast.com/tough. Hey, something I didn't mention is our new text program. You want deals on OCR gear, shoes, watches, protein powder? I don't know. Go to our Instagram page. Check out the link in bio. Instagram's at the OCR Report. Instagram.com/the OCR Report. And check out the link in bio. It's the top of the page there. Sign up for our text program. Get texts to your phone with deals. Sometimes every day. Sometimes as we get them. Love to have you on board there. I cannot wait for World's Toughest Mudder 2024. Looking forward to it. I will talk with you soon. Go spend time with someone you love.